Every day I wake up, wake your ass up.
The Breakfast Club.
Y'all finished or y'all done?
Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Jess Hilarious, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. Loren LoRosa is here as well, and they're about to fight already. Already. Angela Rod, Tiffany Cross, Andrew Gillum, and new to the show, y'all just added the brother Bakari Sellers.
Yeah, man. You know, they needed ratings, so I just...
Wow.
Yeah, so
I actually dared someone to pull your show numbers against ours.
Okay, how's this gonna work?
Just like this, just step back and let him go.
Bakari's like, I can't find my show numbers. Can't find them.
I'm happy to be here. I'm happy to be home. It's a good group of people, and right now you need a platform like this. So I think it's a perfect timing, perfect match.
Now, why did you guys decide to do it together?
I was just getting ready to tell you. I'm glad you asked that. You know, when we started this show, I envisioned this group. And Bakari was trying to be bougie and keep his little Spotify deal.
Wow.
And so he said, prove it to me.
Little Spotify. Y'all people do this little deal, like your little Spotify deal.
First of all, my
better
deal.
than the one now.
I was like, my deal wasn't little, but shout out to Bill Simmons for giving me an opportunity. But everything runs its course.
He didn't pay for this commercial. The point is that we wanted him to be a part of this, and always I would keep coming back, right? I would keep saying, you ready, and it finally worked out, and so I'm really, really thrilled about it, especially at this really difficult
some
time.
Some talented folk around me too, so I appreciate that, and it's a family, so. We've always been friends, and it's always good to work with people who you're friends with.
Wasn't there supposed to be a variation of this at CNN at one point? It was called The Squad. But
was it April Ryan?
Yeah. I don't know that
allegedly.
No, I think what's frustrating is we were The Squad on CNN, and we did segments. What was frustrating about it is there was a story that was leaked that said they were giving us a show. We ain't know nothing about it, right? Did you ever get approached about a show?
I don't think that was going to happen, but I do think that the chemistry was there, and people saw it on screen, so hopefully people can see it now. Yeah, we woke up, it was on page 6 one day.
Right. That's why I'm like, Andrew said he knew about it.
Because I saw a Google alert that said Bakari Sellers page 6. Got
a little nervous if I But I wanted to ask, with everything going on in the landscape of media right now, and especially Trump getting people allegedly fired and people getting let go for their opinions. I'm saying allegedly because I don't want to sue.
Okay.
But people getting fired for their opinions. Does that stop what you guys do or cut it back, or do you go even harder?
I don't think that we have the luxury of filtering truth at this point. I think that to not tell the truth is more dangerous than to uphold the lie. And so I think what you'll get on this show is raw, unfiltered truth. There will be some conflict. There will be some agreement. There will be everything in between. We laugh a lot. I think that Bakari joining will add to that. These two, I'm looking forward to this dynamic because he don't know, but they be fighting. And
it's funny. Y'all look alike too.
Well, to prove the record wrong, we are sitting next to each other in the same camera shot.
I see
not a
Y'all could be
doppelganger.
related. Y'all could be related for sure. Yes.
They don't look alike.
I don't think they look anything alike.
But it's the same guy that thinks he looks like Morris Chestnut.
That is true. He does think that.
Y'all from the same tribe. You can see it.
Yeah, I mean, my folks.
I saw Morris Chestnut on Saturday, by the way. He's taller than you, so you definitely
taller, cuter, handsome,
Jesus,
well oiled. We saw him at
First of all,
everything you're not.
Say
Like
more.
honestly, like everything you're not. His hairline is there.
Oh God.
Oh my God.
Well dressed.
she's been waiting on this.
She might have wrote that down, bro. She was waiting.
She said that in the shower once.
I didn't know this was.
Oh, kind person.
We did not plan this.
Okay.
So mean.
Shout out to Morris Chestnut. I want to get back to what you said,
Yes, ma'am.
Izzy, because I appreciate the point that you're making about media capitulating. I think one thing about all of us, we all had our own backgrounds in media in different capacities. And one thing that people can be sure to get when they tune in to Native Land Pod is an unfiltered approach, well-researched facts. All of us are free. Like, we're not... we don't have a boss that we have to answer to for our opinions. We are not at the will of the Trump administration in any capacity. And we lead with our community. We lead with our Blackness because we've been so brutally oppressed in this country that we owe it to the people. Well, 1,000 things pulling for your attention. We owe it to you when you listen to Native Land Pod to give you our most authentic selves. And our most real takes on things at these dangerous times.
Online with Tiffany, I think people get that without even knowing they're in the throes of like politics and what's happening every day.
Yeah.
The cultural connection to how you can take a Bad Bunny story and related to what capitulation and bending a knee is to big media. The fact that there are folks who are willing to still limited and not enough, in my opinion, who are willing to go up to the line and some folks over the line during this Trump era is exactly, I think, what's required in order for us to get through. This president and his administration has shown when met with force, they have a tendency to back up a bit. And so as long as we continue to, I think, push the limits of this thing, and also continue to develop the platforms in which we appear, making sure that we don't ever get to a position where we're beholden to one institution to get our word out over another, we should be good. But one exception, I think we're still working to get free. At least that's my experience. But the goal here ought to be the liberation for our whole community.
That's right.
Where folks don't have to compromise themselves based off what room they're walking into, what table they're sitting down to, who's on the other end of that table, that we own our power enough and are secure enough, meaning financially, mentally, and otherwise, then our people really can get free.
Yeah.
But it's got to be examples somewhere.
I want y'all to expound on what Tiffany was talking about, though. Like what's broken about how mainstream media covers race and politics today?
Well, a lack of black voices. You do see black faces on networks, but not a lot of black voices. And I think a lot of people are afraid. And so often, particularly in journalism, what's considered unbiased is rooted in what is white and male. And that's not the case here. And I think you have to be bold enough to be the first person to say it. Oftentimes, when you are the first person to say it, it's controversial. You know, in 2016, saying Donald Trump was a bigot was controversial. It took so many other people to get there. And so you have safe people who will wait until everybody else says it before they say it. You have observers who will sit back and learn and make sure that it's the right factual thing to say. And then the boldest among us will come out and speak an honest truth and use the platform responsibly. Not lend it to people who undermine our community, and also not say something that is not completely 100% fact-checked and well-researched. I think we see so many people trying to be first sometimes, trying to go viral on social media with these clips and not always censoring the audience. And so we always censor our viewers because they're our community. We are them,
Charlamagne knows
us.
it well, right? Coming out of this last cycle. And even before, you were probably saying things every morning on the Breakfast Club that were just part of your normal ethos that took lift, that took flight because of how different it was from and divergent it was from what regular black voices were saying in media. And you saw how quickly you became, sort of anointed as an important, vital voice for the moment. And I think, you have to continue that, and you don't need white people to sanction that. You've been doing that. That's who you are. That's what this show has been for our community. And that's why I think y'all are the most listened to, place for folks to go in the morning, because they people are discerning. They know what's real. They know when they're getting real, and they know when they're getting played. And they choose not to be played.
The great thing about the podcast is, or even when you guys come together and speak, I get information in layman terms, right? Because I always tell everybody all the time, if you're going to college, take classes outside of your major, right? Your business major, you might want to take classes in politics to learn more about political science, American history. Because when people start talking, you feel like an outsider. When people feel like an outsider, they don't understand. Even though it doesn't really matter anyway, because Trump does things that really is not really lawful. But when it comes to those things, how do you continue on doing it, right? Because it becomes a lot, right? Yeah. This week alone, I'm just thinking about what we spoke about this week alone. It was sending troops to different states. It was the Trump coin for $1. It was, it's just so much going on.
The federal shutdown is really what all
the federal
is talking
shutdown.
about.
It just seems like it's
people that are being
something
impacted by it.
every day.
But I think you can learn a lot from Donald Trump, too. I think Donald Trump has taught us two things that we need to take from. The first is that he speaks to people on really like a very fundamental first or second grade level, under the theory that if they understand it, everybody will get it. And the second thing is, I've always said Donald Trump is probably one of the most honest brokers we've dealt with in a long time, because he literally told us everything he was going to do. And for people who are surprised, then, we talked about Project 2025. We talked about it. I mean, it's like literally page after page after page. Kamala Harris told you what he was going to do. And it seems as if, not as becoming a reality, people are having some issue with it.
I think that some of it is, but I think that some of it
The
is
surprise,
the pace.
not issue, but surprise.
The pace
Yeah.
is
The pace.
overwhelming.
Oh,
They're
and
70%
intentional.
through Project 2025. I thought that it was going to happen. I thought it was going to be over a 4-year term. It feels like we've lived 100 years in
Correct.
months.
I
What
think
if they
we
drop
should-
Project 2026 in January? What if
What?
they get through 2025 and then January is like, here's
I
Project
wouldn't be
At- at
surprised.
this
They've been planning it
pace-
for 40
At
years.
this pace, it might get there. But the other thing is it's easy if you're Donald Trump to speak simply and basically
Right.
when
Thank
you're with people you're talking to is a monolith. They're all the same people
Yeah.
who at the core of it, whether they're rich, poor, middle class, or in between, have as a common enemy the rise of black and brown people in this country. They see it as a threat. They may not even through their own eyes say, I don't like that person because they're black or brown. What they see is that kid's a threat to my kid.
Yeah.
And my kid
They
is
say
now on
it's
the
a-
couch
it's-
after
it's
getting
a-
a 4-year
it's a-
They're
degree.
rooted in
the
our
common
construction.
the common denominator though is fear, I think.
Yeah.
Fear of what though?
I was
The
going
fear
to say,
of
'cause
other.
sometimes it's not even just those people that register what he's saying better. I got family members that be like, maybe Donald Trump isn't as bad because they simply understood what he was saying
It
in
was
the time where they
basic.
needed or they were scared.
And I talk about that all the time with like Akeem Jeffries, for example, as a counterpoint to this.
Ooh.
Oh my God.
Ooh.
So
He
Akeem,
sucks. It's
no,
okay.
They both think they rappers. They be throwing rap.
No,
I don't know what I mean. It
Bars,
is. It's like
bars.
you,
They got-
they
they
got
got
like
beef now.
They
Biggie
got
and
beef.
Tupac
No,
Yeah,
beef.
Biggie and Tupac.
No, no, it's
but
not.
they're the same coast.
Hakeem and Leonard.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
said something in the New
responded?
York Times.
Yes, he did.
Oh, he responded. I mean, he cut. It was like ether the way he responded to Charlamagne. But what I was saying is that my
in
frustration,
Congress.
my frustration with the leader, the minority leader, is that many times in response you will see a post that has 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 paragraphs, right? And that's not the response we need. That's not meeting the moment. And there are a lot of people right now, and that's my problem, and that's a lot of people's problems with Democratic leadership right now. Chuck Schumer and Akeem Jeffries, the question is, are they prepared to meet this moment that we're in? This isn't a moment for 8-paragraph soliloquies in college dissertations. This is a town hall in a setting, in a barbershop, in a church, in a at a high school football game, meeting people one-on-one, talking, and we do too much talking. That's another
way
thing.
too much.
Like Democrats have become a party that talks at people. They don't even talk to people, talk at people instead of listen to people.
Can I ask you a question, Sellers? Can you call somebody a leader if they have to wait on lobbyists to endorse the Democratic nominee for mayor in New York City? Can you really call him a leader?
Yeah, I mean, I think
They have to wait on their lobbyists?
But I also
If you-
think, like to be completely honest, I think that leadership from Akeem Jeffries would be to call Charlamagne right now and come sit in here and answer those questions. And the reason being is because I'm not going to answer for that man. I've learned a long time ago, you stop answering for other grown men. But I do think that there is a question that all three of you all, or questions that all three of you all can sit down, because I have beef. I sat down here and told you what type of person Eric Adams was. I told you he was terrible, nothing. He wasn't a good mayor. He's probably one of the worst big city mayors we've ever had, right? And that kind of came to fruition. But I think that you should have to be able
I
to.
told you so.
every time Eric Adams in the news, Bakari texts me, I told you.
What did you say about Eric Adams early on that you didn't like that nobody else seen?
No, I just told you he was unethical. And I told you there was no reason for a mayor to actually govern the city between the hours of 11 and 3 a.m.
So say
False
less is
statement.
not. Yes.
False statement.
Say less was not on your agenda.
Oh, yeah, I mean, let these mayors do between that time, that
No, no,
connecting
no.
the people, but
Especially emergencies.
I'm not going to cape for Eric Adams. That's not
Please
the
I
don't.
mean,
point.
we're
think-
not talking about emergencies. We talk about this dude hang out more than Charlamagne.
I don't hang out at all.
That's a low bar.
It's important to meet people where they are. And so to the extent that his extension of the mayor's office meant being at a club at a certain hour and people knew that their mayor was there and maybe they rapped
True.
about something that got them engaged, that'd be something. I don't know that to be true.
It's
But I
not,
think
but-
leadership, though, has to be part qualified by your willingness to walk into the fire, especially
Yeah.
when your
agree with
life
that.
is in the fire every single day. The other thing is what got us to this point won't get us to the next point. So if people think, okay, if Democrats are, we're the resistance,
that
we're the
down.
this, but you may be that, but that doesn't win you the House of Representatives come midterms or the presidency next, unless you are bringing something that people can be
Hold on
inspired
to.
by, and also a plan to look forward to.
Or
It's not worth it to look forward to say,
It may lose you New Jersey.
we're not going to lose New Jersey.
I'm just saying, though, but I'm just saying that type of complacency that you're discussing, we have to have that urgency of now.
But the thing is, I hate that it has to be prescribed. It ought to be something in the blood of anybody who
Intuitive.
serves to be, who positions themselves to lead people. Ought to have so much grit and confidence, but also consciousness, not to have to poll test the moment. we shouldn't be poll testing whether or not it works for members to run for re-election without endorsing a Charlie Kirk resolution of honoring. No, if a voter is asking me about whether I endorse that, they're not my voter to begin with. Not to mention, you can resent and hate and decry the death and murder of a person without endorsing the harm that they did during their living years.
Correct.
And that resolution went that direction. The capitulation that took place there is costly, not because it's just Charlie Kirk. It's an example of what leadership under Democrats looks like, which is we're willing to cave on our most fundamental beliefs and throw our most important constituency, black people, black women, black male pilots who he looks at and says whether or not they're qualified to fly, plain because the color of their skin.
Yeah.
This is the dude you sign onto a resolution to honoring. If I can't get you to fight for yourself, that's who they are.
Yeah.
For yourself, what are you gonna do for me? The biggest opposition to the Democrats returning to power are the Democratic leaders themselves.
I agree.
Wow, that's a bar.
They are.
I have a question for you guys.
I can't drop the mic.
Because you guys, you hear our discussions. These are the kind of discussions that we have on the show. You guys have amassed this huge audience. You and I have disagreed on my thoughts on people not being as intellectually engaged. We're trying to reach massive amounts of audience, massive people. What advice do you all give us? We debuted, as you know, as the #1 podcast across all categories on Apple. But we're still trying to reach people. Our numbers are growing. But just any insight from you all.
Let me answer that first.
Go ahead.
The first thing I would say is when you guys always come up here, especially Miss Rye, I ask as, like he said earlier, as a third grader, right? Because
That's Hampton, though. Nothing. Go ahead.
Damn.
It is. Should have went to Del
Charlamagne
State.
said that's ambitious.
Oh, you said that's Hampton?
No, I didn't say that. That's my middle
That's
finger didn't come
rude.
up. But the reason I say that is a lot of times we don't understand politics. We don't understand law. And a lot of times people listen to people online that they think are actually right, but we realize that they were wrong, you know? So if we don't know if we're listening to somebody that's true, that's right, how do we possibly say, okay, well, we're riding with them or we understand it? So with Angela Rye, I asked, so break this down in this terms. Don't use all the political terms and jargon that you guys use. No, tell me how you would tell a third grader. Don't expect me to know. Like if I tell you about a car and I say it's an E30 M3, it's BBS, it's a 17, it's the lip is this. You're gonna be like, what the fuck? What? I just want to know what it looks like. To me.
How
They do
fast
that
it
at the
goes and what's the
Outback
fuel?
game.
How many
You hear
seats
that
it
a lot
got?
in media. I mean, people will say, "Oh, well, the DLJ this morning and the CBO is saying they can't afford that." Most people don't know what the CBO is.
But
it's
when
not
you break
talking
it down
to
into
people. You're
terms
explaining
where
it.
you're trying to teach me
Right,
and not
exactly.
talk over me, it makes me want
But
to
Envy,
learn
I
and
think
read
you're
and listen more.
assuming that politicians and politics wants to be explained so that it's accessible.
Yeah.
The big trick behind it is your goal is to keep people believing that they don't have access, that this is too complicated.
Correct.
So that when they're doing the bullshit, you're not following it. You're just assuming that this is the way it's supposed to go. It's harder to hold people accountable when you're not sure what you should be holding them accountable to do. So politicians deliberately cloud the water. Power, I should say, not just politicians. Power attempts to look inaccessible.
Yeah.
Because if it's inaccessible, then you don't have to worry about everyday common man and woman holding you to account. That's why I think if folks are listening and they feel like the language doesn't include them and that it feels too complicated, just know that you're not alone and you're probably thinking the right thing because that's exactly what they want you to think. And so your head's on a swivel.
I think for me, it's trust. One thing I always say to myself, if you lie to me about Democrats, then I won't believe you when you tell me about Republicans. And I think that there's too many Democrats that are still caping for the Democratic Party when we, the people, can see that the Democratic Party is on some bullshit. So I think when books like The Original Sin come out, or 107 Days by Kamala, they're actually refreshing because I'm like, we weren't crazy. You know what I'm saying? So I think that whenever you have people like yourselves who are willing to go out there and, speak truth to power about the party you represent, that holds a lot of weight with me.
I think for me, it's like youth. I actually was talking about y'all. I went and spoke at this thing for Thurgood Marshall Foundation. And I met this young man. I can't remember his name right now, but I met him.
Oh, I saw him.
And he was telling me about a platform that he's created. And when he was talking to me, I'm like, are you into civil rights and community and politics? And he was like, yeah, I could feel the passion.
Yeah.
And he was asking me, what should he do? And I was like, do you follow Native Land Podcast? And he was like, I do. I watch him all the time. And he was saying to me that he feels like what he's building right now is so far from what you guys are doing. And I was in my head, to be honest with you, them kind of connecting with a person like you opens him up to such a different audience because he was so smart and like it reminded me of talking to you guys, but he's a college senior. So I don't know what that looks like for you. I know we were at Howard and like when Kamala was the presidential race was happening. Maybe it's like, you guys going to college campuses or something like that. But I literally was talking to him and I actually told him I would connect him with Lolo. I thought about it.
Good.
Yeah, but
shout out to Lolo.
Yeah, their producer. But when I was talking to him, I'm like, it would be fire to see what a person like him has built, merging what you guys are already doing, because it takes it to a level where like now you're hearing from like the youth and people that are like, he's entering the world thinking about all this stuff.
And Lauren just brought up a good point too. Like, we were reporting this morning about how, Turning Point USA, Blexit is going to all of these campuses. And I'm like, yo, you can either ignore it or you can choose to engage. Where's the organization on the other side?
That's right.
That can show up in debate.
What do you say? I say they should ignore it because
I would go debate them.
No, that only helps them. One, it gives them an audience that I don't think they deserve.
But they already have one.
They have
one on that side.
Not really.
They have more of a conservative audience. I take your point about where's the organization on the other side. So I say build something with better intentions. But Turning Point, I don't think their intentions are really a good faith debate. I think they are spreading misinformation and disinformation and trying to provoke college students into having these viral moments.
I think the problem that we have right now, though, is that sometimes because of our complacency and our being like Democratic Party and the quote unquote youth or young folk within the party, because of the complacency and oftentimes taking for granted these younger voters, taking for granted black voters and voters who we normally just say will show up for us, we've created this vacuum, right? We've created this void that is there. And so when you have a Blexit going to a Hampton or a Howard or Morehouse or, Prairie View or wherever it may be, or, meeting with the Black Student Union at Mississippi State, we all know that the organization, when it talks about issues like this, they're not really there talking about issues that center us. We know it's a political ploy. However, the vacuum will be filled with noise. And there are going to be people who are responsive to that noise. So to Charlamagne's point, a lot of times you just can't leave these truths. And this is what you were saying, I do believe. You can't leave these truths to just be unattended, right? Or not even truths. They're not truths. You can't, I would say these statements or whatever they're doing to be unattended, because we've done that too long.
But if you're thirsty,
you think students should show up?
Yes, they will. And the students will show up.
Students at Morehouse will show up simply because I am not a big proponent. I hate cancel culture. I'm not a big proponent of not allowing people on your campus. Because I think that institutions of higher learning in particular have to be these bastions of intellectual debate, right?
But it's not intellectual debate. These are white supremacists.
I'm talking about that.
Can I just say more generally, though? They're not... If people are thirsty, they will drink from a mirage, even though the water is not there.
Preach.
Because somebody's telling them something. And my experience has been, a lot of people in general don't have ideological lenses necessarily.
Right.
They have things that happen in their life, and they have ways in which they respond to it.
Y'all were both SDA presidents, by the way.
For sure. But I have to tell you, a lot of folks weren't carrying a Democrat or Republican flag. They had an issue or a concern, and they wanted to know how we were going to speak to it. And if the only person talking is Charlie Kirk,
Turning Point. Yeah.
But the larger conservative right, if that's all that you're hearing, and you're not cinched well in what the other argument might be, they might have some. And
I think the most amazing thing you said is that they're thirsty. I mean, they're so like I when people talk to me about Charlamagne, they talk to me about Charlamagne all the time.
Yes.
And I say the most amazing thing about Charlamagne is he approaches things with this intellectual curiosity, and people are taken aback by it. But I'm like, he's asking a question because of something he's gone through, something he's seen, or something he's heard.
That's right.
And it's not a place of condescension. It's not a place of disrespect. It's like, Akeem Jeffries, explain to me because I am curious.
Well, he passed curious with that.
Well, I mean, that's because they in beef.
Curious.
They
have a beef with Hakeem.
Yeah, but I mean, it's like, explain to me X, Y, Z. And it comes from a place of intellectual curiosity, which breeds that thirst. And for far too long, we've taken this perch or position that, it's rooted in racism, it's rooted in ignorance. I won't go there with them. Yeah. And because I also ascribe to your notion a little bit that when you roll around with pigs, you both get muddy and only the pig likes it, right?
So what did you think when like Candace Owens came up here and some of those other political views that don't necessarily align with our culture and our people?
I mean, I'm glad that there was somebody there to push back. Now, there's a question of whether or not you should have given her a platform such as this, right? I like, but those are healthy debates.
Especially
like, I don't have
access.
It's
I think
healthy.
I think
y'all don't realize how many
Anyway.
of our people already tapped into.
I
our
agree with
That's
that.
also true.
I agree with that. I'm gonna say something now because I
That's
let y'all
also
talk for 15 minutes. But I just think this. I think it is important if you are going to give room for the debate that you challenge the lies. And I'm not just saying you or y'all. I'm saying all of us. This is something that I have disagreed vehemently with Tiff and Andrew about, because I do think we should put conservative voices on our show. I don't think it should just be the people that we like or can mildly tolerate. I do think that we should have folks on who aren't necessarily dangerous.
Right.
Or trying to be dangerous, but really believe, not performing, not the ones that went to that line because it was shorter, but the ones who really believe that. Like my dad's mentor, Arthur Fletcher, was a black Republican. He is the father of affirmative action. There were Republicans that had a hell of a lot more sense than where folks have now. But when they go unchecked and unchallenged, this is where you end up.
But there's a difference between conservative voices and a Candace Owens. Like, I've never been opposed to conservative voices. I've been opposed to performative people who are intentionally trafficking in misinformation and disinformation and are gifted a platform.
Charlatans.
Right, exactly. Like, I think there are honest brokers out there.
That's true.
I don't know her to say
I mean, I
whether
didn't
that's
either.
her honest experience or not.
I don't know her either, but I
researching-
could tell you.
The research into her background.
What's not true.
I've
But I think-
researched into her
but-
background too, and just like everybody else, like there was a point in time where I went to the altar and got saved, and my life was changed. Right? Like people have moments where they change. It could be a pivot
You
because
put the weed down.
I
though.
don't think she.
I think it's I think
As
it's, I think it's worth debating. I think it's
not fooling with your
I think a
time.
Candace Owens is worth debating because the thing that we keep denying is that people are going to access what she has to say
right.
anyway.
A lot
And
of
I-
If it were the
Massively.
case,
Exactly.
if it were the
Massively.
case,
Y'all say people
Listen,
are listening to
yeah.
her.
They are
Yes.
too. The
No.
numbers.
I'm not disagreeing.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
I'm
they
not
are.
legitimately
they
asking
listening to
about
her,
it.
they like live and die by her.
Yeah.
Like, I promise you. And I think
It's scary.
to your point, I get what you're saying, but it's like it's happening anyway. And when I'm talking about the youth, I mean they thrive off of who's on YouTube reacting, TikTok. They might not come and find you guys Native Land podcast, but they're going to end up somehow getting some content from her. So I think if there was something just as powerful there, a conversation with her and you guys, then you are funneled in,
This
and
is
it's just
my
a part of the.
challenge.
We need to
but
get
that's
our
my-
promo
that's my
budget
only-
up too.
that's
The
my-
other
that's
thing
my-
is this stuff is paid for, paid
But
booth.
That's
also,
my
like,
point.
YouTube
Oh.
cannot be your only. You know, I always say like every piece of news is not going to come with a little hip hop dance on TikTok. So I think we have to. I'm curious because y'all were SGA presidents. I do think we have to challenge our youth and our community and our people to take some responsibility for your own intellectual curiosity and find reputable outlets and get that information.
Some
I
of the
would
reputable
disagree with that
outlets are
theory.
messing up sometimes too. Like
Yeah, but
I've
not-
seen outlets retract stories, especially in today's
That's
time
so
because
true.
And it's a
everything's so
distrust.
conflated. It's hard
Yeah, it's a
to
distrust
know.
in media.
true.
I
Yeah.
think
you-
choice
I think
not
we're
to
in
cover
the same
certain
media
I
that
think
we
that-
don't trust.
I
You
think
find
that
one person and just lean into them because you don't know who's
Yeah.
right, who's wrong sometimes.
We
I think
will
that
literally
Tiffany's-
send people to outlets that we also don't trust.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
we would say we've talked on the
All the
podcast. Oh, go to Washington Post. They just fired Karen Atia.
Yeah.
Like there are news outlets that are reputable that are still very harmful to Black culture. So there's that too. Sorry, B.
No, you're good. I'm getting prepared for the show, for the podcast. I mean, I hope you guys let me and Andrew talk a little bit. So,
I talk
but I
when
do
necessary.
I do think that I do disagree with Tiffany on this point. I think that we have to meet people where they are. And right now we are dealing with a generation that consumes news in ways that we are not used to. Like it kind of makes us old understanding that, they get their news from TikTok. And I also realize they like their news with the words on the screen.
Yes.
Right? They like to be able to read while they hear it, right? They want to actually be able to have a rhythm to it or whatever it may be. That's just the way they consume news. And I don't think you can look down upon that. I think you have to adapt to it. Or you become, that's first.
It's
and
not
second.
looking down though. It's like, can we challenge them? To me, time. I'm stealing from Nicole Hannah Jones, but this is a time for reading
You
books.
can challenge-
Like everything cannot be a 60.
You can
But if
challenge
it
them.
is-
You can challenge them in their space.
Yeah.
But that's also going back to Candace Owens.
Yeah.
The reason I didn't have a problem with Candace Owens here is because you all appeared to be prepped to push back. And the difference is when you have JD Vance interviewing Theo Von interviewing JD Vance. Like that, you can't even push back on the lies. You can't push back on the untruths. It's like an unfiltered misinformation, disinformation, fire hose, just
Well,
stuff
it becomes
coming.
an ad buy. I mean, basically,
Yeah.
it becomes what should have been an ad buy,
Precisely.
but it's propaganda
So-
if you're not prepared.
So that's
to
my
meet it.
point. I mean,
I think Ben
I agree.
Shapiro's a good
Yeah.
example too. You know, we had Ben Shapiro up here, and we push back on things, but what people fail to realize is the very next day we had Mehdi Hassan up here. So we let Mehdi Hassan
push back.
push back on the things that
Yeah.
Ben said. So you gotta stay tuned every day, like
Sure.
a news network.
Sure. I also think you have to condition it, making sure people say, like, this is your perspective from your experience.
That's right.
I can't deny you what your experience is, but there is a difference between what's true and what isn't true. What's a fact and what's made up.
Well, I will also say this. One thing that I love Abby Phillips' show. And the reason I love Abby Phillips' show is because she'll have the conservatives on there, but then she'll have you on, Tiff, and she'll have Sellers on, right? And I loved when Angela Rye was on CNN because you need that. Like somebody said in here earlier, if you don't know what the truth is and you hear something and it sounds good, you're just going to go with that.
Sure.
And if it remains unchecked, fine. But when it's challenged, you like,
agreed.
I think Bakari might have been right on that. I think Tiffany might have been right on that.
I think I'm always a big proponent of the free flow of information, and you have to be prepared to check it or challenge it when it comes your way. I don't think you can just shut the door to it.
I agree with you.
Because unfortunately that shit's getting through anyway.
But like debating slavery, like to me, you have to have a line at some point where this is just nonsense. Where this is like I don't
not when the
respect
other side is now laying a new bed in this idea that there were positives that came from the experience, and you now have younger people who are less connected to what slavery meant and our struggle to overcome it, who are hearing these things, and what does that do? Over time, it softens their defense of the evil that slavery was.
Like,
but it's not. But if we don't go to them, then we can't challenge.
And then when you got people like Kanye years ago saying slavery was a choice, and you got a bunch of niggas who swear they get knucked when somebody buck. They swear there's no way y'all to put
I am not my answer.
Exactly. And Blexit is literally going to these campuses talking about building a foundation that's the antithesis to the roots laid by the civil rights movement. That's like a fundamental tenet of it.
This is this other part, because I tried to go in and just look at some of their rhetoric, and there's something that says like, it's like you're not going to be a victim anymore. And I think that rhetoric is resonant because there are so many instances in our life, like right now, as they dismantle DEI, whether you think DEI was as most effective or not, it protected some jobs. It created some jobs. It created some opportunities. So we are being victimized. So there's something very empowering, like in this moment where I've applied for 300 jobs, let's say, and I haven't been hired. I am feeling like I'm a victim, but somebody's telling me there's a choice I can make where I'm no longer going to be a victim. Now, when they get in that room, they're going to realize that rhetoric isn't all the way aligned, but there are some touch points where they're tapping into our trigger points, where it's like, okay, maybe there's a space for me here.
People at the end of the day do want to be hopeful.
Yeah.
They want to be hopeful about a future that they can have. We're not always clear that the other side is selling us a bill of dreams. And are not leveling with us, and I completely relate to the not wanting to be a victim. In my own trials and situations, I always kept telling myself, "I'm not a victim. I have choice here. I have choice." Even in the moments where, honestly, if I had interrogated it, no, I didn't. There was a thing. There was a thing set in motion that began to happen, that began to unravel, and no matter how skilled I thought I was at a thing, that the conclusion was going to be what it was. Unfortunately, people do not like to believe. I do not co-sign that statement.
Jay and Ellen, he was just playing. RJ and Ellen,
you always have a place with us.
I want to ask a question about something our listeners have been really talking about.
NBA YoungBoy.
No. The government shutdown.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm going to ask a question, but I'm telling you, people don't care. Whose fault is it? Is it Democrats or is it Republicans?
So I don't think you can answer that question that way.
Yes,
okay.
So the way I answer it is this. Democrats are fighting in this country for you to have access to quality health care, period. People's premiums are about to go up in a couple of weeks, and we're talking about 300 times the amount that you're going to pay for insurance. The number of people who are going to be kicked off of Medicaid is 12 to 15 million. So you're not going to be able to get care. And then the places that you go to get care are shutting down. We're not even talking about Planned Parenthoods. We're talking about community centers like the one in Eau Claire. They shut down 6 centers in South Carolina. And so the battle that Democrats are waging right now is, look, we think that we should have access to quality care, and Republicans can stop the shutdown if they come to the table and simply vote to extend those ACA subsidies. Point blank, period.
It's the Republicans' fault.
He's not trying to say it that way, and I think that part of the reason why is because, this is my argument. I'm not going to put this on you. It's too little, too late. So people have watched, as you would say, Democrats capitulate over and over and over again, and now it's like, now is the time to stand our ground. But where was the time to stand the ground when the big ugly bill was getting passed? Where was the time to stand your ground on the Charlie Kirk resolution just 2 weeks ago? Where was the time to stand your ground when you could have at least pushed back in terms of rhetoric and what you're saying? And so people are just like, it's a fight, but it ain't with the right weapons.
Yeah.
And premiums are still going to go up.
But to Charlamagne, your point, people are not going to, what Republicans successfully did is they delayed much of they attempted to delay much of the impacts of the legislation. So they passed a bill that transferred $1 trillion from working people in this country, largest wealth transfer in the history of America, and took that $1 trillion and gave it away to the wealthiest 1% minus of Americans in this country who didn't ask for it and don't deserve it.
And Trump just gave $20 billion to Argentina.
So again, but American citizens are not experiencing it in real time. The consequences for those decisions are delayed, and they're delayed by deliberation.
Well, hold on, some Americans, because federal workers are experiencing it right now.
I was just saying, there's two different conversations happening. He's talking about the July bill. You're talking about the shutdown.
So the problem with they're connected.
They are.
The July bill set the framework for those subsidies to go out of way, to be retired. Democrats are saying, y'all did a hell of a lot of damage, and now all we're asking you to do is repair some of the harm, just a little bit, but making sure that the people who have insurance today and are paying lower premiums today can continue to do that tomorrow. And you can do that by simply reinstating the incentives that came through Obamacare. They can make that decision. They're choosing to continue to give the wealthiest one $1 trillion, steal it from you, and make you pay 300% more than what you're paying today and your health subsidies.
And meanwhile, it's 700,000 government workers who have been furloughed and they don't know if they're ever going to get paid.
That's who's calling us every day.
That's right.
That's against the law. He's saying
they don't
he may not
care about a law.
What is a law?
Exactly.
At this point. Yeah.
So who? I guess. Yeah, whose fault is that? Because people are calling up here this morning, they don't care.
I guess
they're like, they don't care if it's Democrat, Republican, they just want their check.
You don't like my answer, but the math is the math. The math is the math. The people who have the power to pass bills in Congress is the Senate. The person who signs the bill into law is a Republican in the White House named Donald J. Trump. What's the J stand for?
I don't know,
Jackass.
but John.
But then it's confusing because Democrats are taking credit for holding things up because they're taking the stand for the health care.
Because they need 60 votes in the Senate,
right?
No,
but the truth is that when Democrats were president and Republicans had the majority, Democrats were able to get 60% majorities to keep the government open. This is, at the end of the day, in the beginning of the day, the fault of the people who have the power. The power right now resides in the Republican president, the Republican Senate majority, and the Republican Speaker of the House. So whose fault is it? Is the Republicans who have the majorities to make decisions. Democrats are simply trying to be a stopgap in the way of the worst avalanche that's coming.
To Andrew's point, the last time we had a government shutdown was under Donald Trump.
And 2018.
But even if you find fault, right? Because I think this is why people accidentally end up over there on the other side, because they feel like, all right, fault goes back and forth, but action, where is action? Because it can be
with
Donald
the Republicans.
I'm gonna get my check.
Yeah, it's Donald Trump's fault, but I'm still sitting here furloughed, no job. So like, now what? And y'all want me to go vote? Y'all want me to do this? Y'all want me to not listen to this man when we thought he gave out checks? Like, I think for me, as just like a regular person who doesn't buy into a lot of this, it's like there's a revolving door of we find fault, something happens, one person tells you it's better, you vote for them, it messes up again. It's like, where does this end?
Follow your truth. If your subsidies are going up, if you are out of a job and you're a federal employee today, follow what the truth is. It isn't math. This isn't rocket science. The government is shut down because of Republicans. Now, I'm guessing that the average voter really doesn't care about fault right now. They want to know how to get it back open. Here is the simple way to get it back open. The Senate and the House can agree to make sure that working people have access to health care without paying 300% more tomorrow than they did today.
Correct.
And when they come to that conclusion, the president can sign it in the law and the Republicans can open the government.
You can open up government right now.
They have
literally, it's that easy. And so what I've been, that's why I didn't answer Charlamagne's question with a Demo or a Republican. The answer is very easy. I mean, if we wanted to open up government, then Republicans come back. First of all, they went home, come back to D.C., sit in a room with Democrats, say we're going to extend these subsidies. Let's figure out what that looks like. And then, boom.
But Donald Trump and the Republicans are playing in our face completely, because they're telling us that it's the Democrats when the truth is that they are incentivized to keep the government closed. The president doesn't want checks and balances. The government doesn't want auditor generals in these departments checking their behavior. They're sending them home. How many
have they confirmed while it's shut down?
They're sending them
170 yesterday. Oh, by the way, they just made your boy. Your friend, Herschel Walker. He's the ambassador to the Bahamas now.
Shout out to Herschel, man.
Ambassador Walker.
Ambassador Walker.
But again, to Bakari's point, the longer they stay out, the more this man gets to rule by fiat.
Yeah.
He gets to rule by fiat.
Yeah. And people suffer.
Ask him to spell Bahamas. Bahamas.
He sounded out.
But truthfully, Charlamagne, to your point,
That's
people
bad.
are suffering. The people
That's right.
who get food stamp SNAP benefits, they are suffering. They're going to go down significantly. The
People who travel.
Right, the airlines, if you're planning on traveling, they're going to suffer. In
FAA?
2018, we saw routinely air traffic controllers who make sure we don't crash. They started calling out sick because they were not getting paid. And now he's threatening their back pay. WIC, women, infant, and children, those benefits are going to go down. These programs impact Black people. They disproportionately impact white people. So I think I get your point. It doesn't matter whose fault it is. Somewhere right now, someone's driving to work at a job that they still have, figuring out how they're going to pay their mortgage, how they're going to take care of their kids, and they don't care whose fault it is. They just want to make sure.
Stop
they're okay
politicizing people's pain. I think that's what people be. That's what people be calling up, saying like, I don't care who did what. I want my check.
Yeah.
Right,
But
but
the
guess
thing
who's
is, it's at
politicizing
what
it? Donald
cost?
Trump put on government servers, on government websites,
Yes.
the Democrats shut down.
Yes.
There are no equals here.
Yeah.
The Republicans and the Democrats are not equal in the way they're approaching this. Donald Trump knows that he is causing and exacting pain. He is using our taxpayer dollars to then blame one political party over another. And all the while, he is sitting high, being able to rule this country by fiat.
Yeah.
Right? So the incentives appear perverse. A president usually wants to take care of all Americans. This guy doesn't care about all Americans, and he's made it clear every single opportunity he's given.
Oh, yesterday
he cares
said
about him.
Yeah, yesterday he said he don't think everybody should get back pay.
Of course he don't.
That's what
If
I'm
he
saying.
could go
The
through and say
furlough-
no
Only people
black
that align with
worker.
him. That's what he said. Only people that
That's
align with him
literally
should
the
get that
point. The 700,000 plus worker number that have been furloughed. They are debating right now whether they will get back pay.
And government contractors who are not even included in that number, they won't get back pay. They're just out.
They're just out.
cash.
And
So for the listeners,
subcontractors.
basically, the largest employer in the entire United States, being the United States government, has decided not to pay
Yeah.
the largest set of workers in the United States of America, and are then impacting it on all of us because these are the people we need for the services that we all rely on.
Well, I want y'all to do one thing, and that is
Subscribe to the Native Land
Subscribe
Podcast.
to Native Land Pod.
Full details.
This is
of
why I love the
everything.
Native Land Pod.
Follow us at Native Land Pod. And I just want to say this is going to be our 100th episode. So it's a new beginning with Bakari Sellers as our
First
new
99
co-host.
ain't really count.
And we are launching our Substack today as well. So we're excited about that.
How do you get on
Substack.
Substack? I'm old.
It's a website, and they have
Okay.
an app as well.
Email.
Substack. Yes.
No, I was just say I love the Native Land Podcast because I love the discussions, but I always tell Angela, Andrew always lands the plane.
I'm sitting here listening
Y'all be
to
like,
him.
he always lands
Yeah.
the plane the right way. Like, oh, okay, I get it now.
I was getting, seriously, when you were talking, I was getting goosebumps and a little sad because I'm like, this man should have been the governor of Florida. And
He's my
most of
forever
our
governor.
comments are always like, when is Andrew running again? We need
I agree.
you.
Mm-hmm.
But
And
yeah,
like, nah,
I
ain't
agree.
doing it no more.
I agree,
He gonna
Andrew.
let the
I
Lord
agree.
touch him.
I don't know what you waiting on to get back in the
No,
game. You too,
what?
sellers. I really don't.
Are you going to run for office?
Bakari got to go to the NBA YoungBoy
Tomorrow.
concert first.
She
and
gonna call me baby boo.
then he
I'm learning the song. That's my jam.
That's how you know
right
he
there.
gonna
I don't
run
know what he
again.
say.
That's how you know you're gonna run again one day.
Oh,
You
yeah,
got no
yeah.
business at a young boy concert.
Man, I got a suite. I'm taking my nieces, nephews. I got a hoodie. I got some
it's
black
the sweet
A1s.
part you gotta
She
leave
gonna
out.
call me baby boo.
He got his black A1s.
Not the
lead.
black
Well, thank you guys for joining us.
We
Thanks for
love y'all.
subscribing.
Bakari, me and Bakari in that
Podcast.
young boy concert, scouting future clients.
Andrew Gillum, Bakari Sellers.
We
Thank
love
y'all.
y'all.
Thank y'all.
Thank
Love
you,
y'all.
guys.
Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Hold up. Every day I wake up, wake your ass up. The Breakfast Club.
Y'all finished or y'all done?